Good evening, folks. Welcome to this town hall, this virtual town hall with Alameda County Supervisor David Haubert. We're so grateful to have you all join us this evening. The purpose of this town hall is to connect with the Afghan American community, and I should probably introduce myself first. Assalamu alaikum and hello to all of the folks joining us on this webinar. My name is Harris or Audis Mujadidi. I am a proud resident of the Tri-Cities, born in Fremont, California, and a community organizer. I've had the honor of chairing the Alameda County Human Relations Commission as well as the Union City Planning Commission. And as a member of the Afghan American community, I'm extremely grateful to have this discussion tonight on really services that Alameda County will provide to incoming refugee community, but as well as our community members. And so we're honored to be here this evening and to have this important discussion. And without further ado, I will go ahead and I'll introduce our supervisor for District 1, Supervisor David Haubert. And I'm going to read a short biography, Supervisor Haubert. But for those folks tuning in, I want to be sure that they know what cities and that you represent in Alameda County. And so correct me if I get this wrong, Supervisor, but Supervisor David Haubert represents the cities of Livermore, Dublin, I would say a little more than 2/3 of the city of Fremont, give or take probably around Dakota Road or so, and some of unincorporated Alameda County, and I believe some of that might be Sunol. And you can test me in just a minute or so and let me know if I got it right or wrong. But I'm going to read just a brief bio, Supervisor, if that's okay with you, and then I'll turn it over to you for some introductory remarks. Supervisor David Haubert began his professional career in the food industry where he held sales positions of increasing responsibility, executive marketing tactics, and strategic analysis for the Nestle Food Company, PepsiCo, and Safeway. He later founded Trinity Consulting to help small business startups with proof of concept, development, sales, and marketing plans, as well as business development. Supervisor Haubert's public service began in 2000 when he volunteered for his daughter's school at the school site council and later became the chair. In 2002, he was elected to the Dublin Unified School District Board of Trustees, where he served for 10 years. And then he was elected to the Dublin City Council in 2012. In 2014, now Supervisor Haubert was elected to the mayorship for the city of Dublin. And just this last November in 2020, Supervisor Haubert was elected to the Board of Supervisors, the governance body for Alameda County. He's completed his first 100 days as supervisor with accomplishments that keep his promises to support the homeless, address traffic gridlock, and keep a balanced county budget. And so without further ado, I'll go ahead and welcome Supervisor Haubert. Supervisor Haubert, thank you so much for being here this evening and having this conversation with the Afghan American community.
Harris, thank you very much. I'll also begin. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, everyone. I am so honored and privileged and pleased to bring us together. I know that I wish it were better circumstances. And I want to start by saying that we are all devastated by what we've seen this past month happening in Afghanistan. We watch what is happening. We talk to people who are in connection, in contact with people in country, and we're just horrified and devastated. But I want to say that it doesn't get us down. Instead, we rise to the occasion like we always will. The second point I want to make is that I'm pleased and honored to bring together a group of experts. This panel that we have tonight is outstanding. You will learn a lot about what we are doing, our pledge to help relocate evacuees, refugees, people, our friends from Afghanistan that are fleeing the tyranny and fleeing into safety, away from danger into safety. And so the second thing I mentioned, besides being devastated, we rise to the occasion and bring together those experts. The last thing I want to say is we remain committed to helping everyone that comes to America to be successful, that we will support you the best we can, that we care about your long-term success, and we know that you will turn to be great American citizens if that's what you choose, or whatever the future may bring. You have safety, you have protection, you will have the resources and the opportunity. And this is the key word. It doesn't mean it's automatically given to you everything, but rather the opportunity, as so many of your countrymen have experienced before. And we have some great examples on the call with us today. You have the great opportunity to be successful, and we're going to help you by supporting you to doing that. So I'm just the lucky one that gets to be bringing us together. The real people that are the most helpful will be on the panel. I'll turn it over back to Harris.
Thank you, Supervisor Haubert. And before I begin our first speaker, for those tuning in at home that may not be familiar with the Afghan American community right here, Fremont, California, it is, wherever an Afghan might live, it really is home base. It's where, many of us were born, raised. It's really the foundation of our existence in America and the United States. And so thank you for having this town hall. And really, again, I want to centering Afghan Americans in this discussion, which we'll see. And without further ado, I'll introduce a change maker in her own right, the first Afghan American woman elected to public office in the United States, my good friend Aisha Wahab, I'm going to get this right. It's the mayor pro tem for the city of Hayward, Aisha. And Aisha will give us some remarks. And thank you for being here, Aisha. And I think you have an important perspective that you add, not only as an elected official, but someone who's worked very closely with the county. And I know you were a predecessor of mine as chair of the Alameda County Human Relations Commission. I know that you've served the county in various capacities. So I think you're going to bring a lot of expertise. And so with that, I'll turn it over to you, Aisha.
Thank you. I first want to start by thanking Supervisor David Haubert. He has always been a friend to the community, even from his time in Dublin till now. He has always, kept an eye on our community. Thank you, Harris, for definitely moderating this, and thank you to Kathy for, pulling us all together. Kathy does a lot of work behind the scenes and deserves recognition. So my name is Aisha Wahab. I'm the mayor pro tem of the city of Hayward. And it's sad to say that my story is no different than a lot of the Afghan Americans that are coming, in the coming weeks and months. My parents fled the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan, seeking political asylum here in the United States. I was very fortunate to be born in New York City. And soon after I was born, my father was actually murdered in New York City. And, my mother passed away after. And my sister and I ended up in foster care. And there was a petition for for having my sister and I sent to Afghanistan. And an American judge actually made a decision that was the most pivotal in my life. The American judge chose that we remain in the United States, as I'm an American citizen, and that region is at that time inhospitable to women. Sad to say that it is still the case 30 years later. And, that decision has allowed me to grow and, be surrounded by different Americans that do the right thing. And that decision that the judge made was in the best interest of two young girls. And that is what we are trying to do today. You have individuals like Supervisor Haubert, who is looking to see what we can do on the county level. I am working to see what we can do at the city level, and much more. Now, with that said, I do want to highlight why it's important to allow for these refugees to come into the United States. As an American, it's important to keep our word, both internationally and locally. As an elected official, it's obviously important to keep your word. And these Afghans were guaranteed that they would get a special immigrant visa if they cooperated with the United States military to pursue our pursuit of justice in Afghanistan after 9/11. And many of them signed up knowing that they would be marked as traitors in Afghanistan. And not only as traitors by the Taliban and some of these extremist groups and warlord groups and so forth, but also in particular by an average everyday Afghan. And that is why their lives are at stake. Our American veterans all know this. Everybody who has served in Afghanistan feel very, very compelled to bring in as many people as they can that serve the United States, as well as their families. The special immigrant visa is nothing new. It started in roughly 2006, both for Iraqis and Afghans, with the promise that the interpreter / translator or whoever worked for the United States military, as well as their spouse and their children under the age of 21. Now, when they arrive here, the situation is the State Department has stated that they would not be, it's not inclined to allow them to come to California. However, we know that, as Harris stated, there's a huge Afghan population here. So people want to come see, extended community members, places of worship, stores and things like that, people that speak their own language. When people arrive here, the interpreters usually speak English. They won't have as much of a problem. They're going to have problems with housing and transportation and finding a job. But the real concern is going to be with the women and children. The children will go to school and bounce back within a year or so, but the women are going to be largely isolated. Many of them do not speak the language, and there is obviously a significant cultural difference. And so you have organizations like the Jewish Family Community Services, as well as the Afghan Coalition, as well as local municipalities that are trying to do their best. I will say the city of Hayward has teamed up with the city of Fremont, Newark, Union City, and we have raised roughly about $200,000 to help with the resettlement efforts. That's largely probably going to go for housing and much more. Santa Clara County is also trying to increase funding for mental health and caseworkers and so forth. And Governor Gavin Newsom has also allocated $16.7 million for these efforts. We have a long way to go. And like I said, I think that the reason why people gravitate to the Bay Area, as a person who was raised in the Bay Area, it's a very welcoming place. It's extremely diverse. And, we again have individuals that truly, truly care, whether it's our charities or churches or nonprofits, our cities, and just individuals that are joining the call to see what they can do. And that is the most important takeaway, is that we made a promise. We plan on keeping that promise, and we are going to help as much as possible with those that are in need. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Aisha John. Appreciate it. Next, I'll be turning it over to Kathleen Clannon, Medical Director for Alameda County Healthcare Services Agency, and Khatara Aslami, Manager of the Office of Peer Support Services within the Alameda County Healthcare Services Agency. And they'll be providing a presentation on sort of the support services at the county level. And before I turn it over, Kathleen and Khatara John, so grateful to have both of you here this evening with us to enlighten all of our audience members, to give some connection to the services that the county will be providing. And so just again, a lot of gratitude for you all. And with that, I will ask if Kathy Kimberlin works for Supervisor Haubert, and she's the woman behind the scenes making everything happen. Kathy, if there are slides to share, but without further ado, I'll turn it over to Kathleen and Khatara. So thank you all for being here this evening, and thank you.
Thank you, Harris. I'm going to start and just give a little bit of a background about what in general the county is doing to be ready to safely welcome folks who are coming from Afghanistan. But really, I think the star of the show is going to be Khatara, who is deeply familiar with the resources that are available, in particular for mental health and support, with the Afghan lens. So my job is I'm the medical director for the county's healthcare services agency. And that means that my job is to kind of glue together different kinds of medical resources for people. As we were all watching horrified what was happening on television, Supervisor Haubert, reached out to my boss, the director of the Healthcare Services Agency, and said, "We want you busy right now planning to safely welcome people who are coming." So we immediately got on that, and there are a couple of things that we're doing specifically to get ready for folks. There is, as many people probably know or have experienced, many people's first contact will be with the resettlement agencies. However, the next step is a medical evaluation. There is one refugee health evaluation clinic that's here in Alameda County. It's located at the Eastmont Mall. They already have worked with people from Afghanistan. And we're working with them to be ready for scaling up, to be ready for the approximately 1,800 people that we've been told might be coming into Alameda County. And what that means is that they will be able to do, they have a 2-stage evaluation. They meet with people once and ask them a lot of questions about their physical health, their mental health. There's some screenings, et cetera, and then some immunizations. There are a few infectious diseases that are circulating in Afghanistan that are not here. And so we'll want to protect people, make sure that people are safe from those. And then our biggest job is going to be then helping people to get connected with ongoing medical care. So that they'll get the refugee health piece of that, but that's only a couple of visits. What we want is to be able, and we will be able to do this, to offer to families and individuals a clinic that is close by them, that has experience working with people, Dari and Pushtu speakers, and and people from Afghanistan. And there are multiple of our community clinics that in fact have staff who originated in Afghanistan. We will also be connecting people to ongoing behavioral health. So it's what we call both addiction services and mental health. And we're assuming that there will be some people who had a severe mental illness before the disruptions of the past few months, but that almost everybody will have some degree of emotional and mental injury from the process of being uprooted so abruptly, and fear for the people who are left behind. So we know it'll be important to connect people, and that there's a lot of stigma, as there is in many communities, about needing that kind of help. This is why it's important that Khatara is with us today to kind of talk through those things. We're planning for 3 different special populations kind of within the group of people coming. We're anticipating some people may come, women may come who are quite advanced in pregnancy, and will need urgently to be connected to medical services for their health and the health of their babies. We believe that there will be some number of unaccompanied youth, people in their teens, who have come without an extended family, and they may need some they will need some additional support. And then people who might have an acute illness, and we'll want to make sure that we can, that as we do the screening, that we are, we're making sure that our hospitals and emergency departments know what to look for, and can really give care that is really designed to work well for people who recently arrived from Afghanistan. So that's what we're doing. Our pledge is that we're going to be making it crystal clear to you as the community already here, to the people who are arriving, and to the people whose job it is to help, exactly who to contact and how to get these medical care and mental health care resources. That's very important, and we'll be problem solving and troubleshooting that to make sure that nobody falls through the cracks, that everybody gets what they need to make a safe arrival here, and immediately get plugged into ways to keep themselves well. So let me stop there and turn it over to my colleague, Khatara.
Thank you, Dr. Clannon, for also for leading the county efforts to provide coordinated care for our Afghan allies coming into Alameda County. I also want to thank Supervisor Haubert for hosting this town hall, and it's an honor and privilege to have this opportunity to share today, especially with Mayor May of Fremont, Mayor Pro Tem Wahab of Hayward. So proud to be here with you, and of course, Mr. Mojadidi, our moderator and community leader. And I want to also extend my thank you to Kathy Kimberlin for coordinating this. I want to say assalamu alaikum to all, and to my Afghan community. My heart goes out to each one of you during this horrific time. I acknowledge that, you know, we live in Alameda County, and it's to me, I'm very grateful for that. I know we have a strong Afghan community in our county, and we have helped shape other, you know, strong organizations in California and across the country. So I'm very proud to be from Alameda County, and someone that has was raised in Fremont, born in Afghanistan. Though I did come to this country as a child, 3 years old when my family escaped, and about 4 when we arrived as asylum seekers. These are very difficult times for all of us, and we're all worried for our well-being of our loved ones in Afghanistan. And just for a moment, I'm going to speak in Farsi and Dari. حال وقت بسیار سخت است با کل ما و ورخطا کل ما هستیم با مملکت ما و با فامیلی ما در افغانستان و با فامیلی ما که اینجا میآید و بخشش میخوایم که دیگه گپ زدن ما حال دری نمی باشه. داریم بسیار قوی نیست مگم امی انفرمیشن که شیر میکنیم باز دری براتان ترنسلیت میکنیم براتان باز میرسانیم. And I just again reiterated that how difficult the times are, and also what I'll be sharing about our resources. Though currently is in English, we are working on getting it translated in Dari. I want to thank Havari Wilson, our ethnic services manager, for helping make that happen, and of course contributing to this list, as many from Alameda County Behavioral Health has. And again, like many here, I have family currently trapped in Kabul. I've been working nonstop. My heart shattered like all Afghans on August 15th, and then it crushed again on August 31st when, you know, our troops left Afghanistan, and my hopes went out with that. I am working hard to keep my hope alive and be surrounded by my Afghan brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, everybody, to really support one another. And so I'm here to speak about what resources we have through Alameda County Behavioral Health Care Services. There's a list of 23 organizations and programs that are serving our community around mental health and behavioral health, and a lot of them also are specific to the Afghan population or have the capacity to serve with language needs such as Dari, Pashto, and Farsi. And I do want to acknowledge those organizations and what they offer to our community in this time of crisis right now. We have services from, you know, if you're seeking mental health services, we have a 24-hour access line that you can call. And you can see this list here. Our access line has the capacity to serve in different languages. We also do mobile crisis teams. So if there's a crisis, we will come out to where the situation is and assess it. There are a range of services from a 24-hour crisis line where you can call and talk to someone if you're experiencing a crisis, or if you need additional like mental health one-on-one treatment or group treatment. Afghan Coalition has been a leader in that, and we're very grateful for their work. Again, there is a lot of support resources for the Afghan community listed on this, including, you know, some information about resettlement agencies, and then opportunities to, if you, a respite. This is something new that we offer, a peer respite, which is a non-clinical approach to supporting someone kind of get back on track with their mental health well-being. And it's a home-like setting and voluntary environment that I'm very proud of, because it's something that is shown to be really effective in supporting people and meeting them where they're at. So these resources are there for you, and we're going to continue to build on that and hear what other resources are available that we can make accessible to you. But I also have been asked to talk about self-care, and you know, I was kind of taken aback when I was asked that, because I do believe in, I obviously, as the Office of Peer Support Services Manager, I'm very passionate about self-care and importance of mental health in these times. But like many Afghans right now, that mental health is really like on the edge. You know, I think we do really well of being strong in the moment, but then what happens when we're not, you know, around and need to be strong is you know, important to what we do. So I included an info sheet on compassion fatigue, vicarious trauma, and burnout for human rights defenders, created by a nonprofit organization called Open Briefing. We are all human rights defenders right now, and that's just the reality of the situation. We have a humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan, and we know the demand and the pressure on our shoulders are intense. And we know also that what we're experiencing is nothing compared to our family members in Afghanistan. So those, you know, when I was reading through this resource list, it completely resonated. It had the signs listed that I was like, check, check, check. All of those are me right now. You know, feeling exhaustion, overwhelmed, loss of appetite, helplessness, anger when I watch the news, difficulty breathing, difficulty sleeping, and of course, feeling guilty for having, you know, these challenges also. You know, those feelings of guilt don't end, and you know, it even increases with, yes.
So John, can we just take a pause real quick? First, this is my first time meeting you, Khatara John, and I don't know if it's because my favorite older sister's name is Khatara, but I just feel this like bond and kinship with you just over this Zoom screen. First, like, God, there's so many points that I want to pause for our audience, because you are just dropping the mic every which way, and I just really like, first, like, I think about like, and you had shared too that you grew up in Fremont. My whole family, the hundreds or so of us live in, you know, Fremont, California, like Washington High School. Like, that's like, you know, you have to have known Emojididi if you have lived in Fremont, Washington High School, or Kennedy, sometimes American. But I'd say like the first point is like, I think about like my parents, my older siblings who, you know, are maybe the same age as you, Khatara John, and like just thinking about when they came here from Afghanistan, and thinking that like 30, 40 years later, there's a Khatara Aslami in this leadership position that has all of this experience. And I just like that like, just that in itself, to think that these people that are coming and it might be different, but it's the same, right? Like leaving their country, having to flee the trauma, the unknown, and coming here and knowing that, like last time, like I think like I have older siblings, and I know that like those first or second oldest kids and households became the parents, right? For the parents, because they learn how to speak English. And I think about all of that, and I think like how blessed and lucky we are to have someone in your stature, someone in your capacity in this leadership role in this county services, which again, like it's very close to home, because for many of us refugees, like we lived within this system, right, when we first came here. And so like, I just really want to honor that first and foremost, and just give you like that. I can't even put words to it, because that's how much of a blessing it is. That's how impactful it is that we have you in this leadership position, where you have oversight of policy and can help direct the resources. And right, all of us know, I think something going on for this Afghan American diaspora, whether we're 15 years old or 40 or 45, there is this collective trauma that we're all feeling that you have perfectly described, Khatara John. And it's like, I'm not doing enough. What do? I have family members at home. And could you speak a little bit about that? Because it's like, if you're Afghan, if you're Afghan, right? And it's just, we're living through it every day, these past 30 days. But for like our community members who may not be familiar, can you maybe like just talk about that a little bit more, because we're holding on to so much,
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you, Artis John. And, the Mojdidi family is very close to me. My sister, Nadia Mojdidi, or Nadia Sheikh now, and Medina, and all of them are, so I grew up with the Mojdidi family, and so you are family. And as are, so many of our Afghans, right? We may not be blood related, but we are related in some way, and can definitely we relate to the pain. I think right now what we're seeing in our homes, right, is increased symptoms of mental health challenges, and that can unfortunately unnoticed and ignored can turn into a crisis. So our goal is to really bring the opportunity and uplift the opportunity of self-care, of talking about how important it is, and also just knowing how much in our self-care we're able to move forward, where if we don't take that time for ourselves, if we don't find something that can take our mind away from just that moment of pain, if we don't, it all just starts piling up. And I know already since August 15th, so many of my friends and family have struggled and experienced new mental health challenges. So this is not about like necessarily, oh, I know there's a lot of stigma, but as a person who's been diagnosed with depression and anxiety and struggled even prior to this, the events on August 15th, it's not easy, but it's also, there's a lot of support here. And that's the beauty of that I want to lift up, is that, we have multiple ways and multiple options for someone to get support and to get help. And the message is, you're not alone, and we want to help.
And can I ask a question too, Khatara John? Are these services like that the county provide? Can I call? Like, can I seek them, or is it just for folks that have, Medi-Cal, Medicaid? What is there? Like, what does that look like? Are they available for?
That's an excellent question, and I'm so happy you're the moderator, because I could just, you need to be able to tell me to slow down. But I appreciate you. There is. So the services are, most of them are available to anyone in the community. Of course, if you're going to seek clinical services, some of that goes through our access line, and primarily we do serve the Medi-Cal population. But we also have something that is programs that are funded through the Mental Health Services Act, also known as Proposition 63. That brought a lot of resources to our community that is for anyone trying to, help with it, maintain their mental health wellness. And some of those include, like the respite center. The peer respite is to that La Familia, Sally's Place, runs. It's something that's available for the community. It's a 14-day stay in Haubert, ran by other peers who've been, struggle with mental health challenges. That will give people an opportunity to take, help them prevent from getting to a crisis. There's also, resources through Habari's office, my office, and our family empowerment offices. And Habari's office is the Office of Ethnic Services, so just make sure I mention that, that are available without any, kind of insurance criteria. So there's a lot, and I think for this future version of the resources, I might add that piece to it.
That's so great. Thank you so much, Khatara John and Dr. Kathleen Clannon, for presenting. We'll have Q&A in about like 10 minutes or so. And so we'll bring you back. We'll bring all the panelists back on if there are specific questions. But just thank you so much, Dr. Clannon and Khatara John, for being here, for providing these resources. Again, like this is for our Afghan American community. This is huge, right? Like it may seem like it's self-explanatory, but we oftentimes don't get these spaces dedicated to us to center our experiences, our lives, and what's important, and as it intersects with this arrival of refugees. So thank you both so much. Appreciate it. But please stay on the call in case there will be questions. So you can turn off your screens. And next, I will be introducing the mayor for the city of Fremont, Mayor Lily May. Mayor Lily May was elected to the mayorship. I call it the mayorship back in 2016 and was reelected in 2020. So thank you so much for being here with us, Mayor Lily May. And before I turn it over to you, I want the audience members at home to know that Fremont, again, is so vital to our Afghan American community. It's really home base for many of us, even if we don't reside there anymore. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to you, Mayor May. Thank you for being here tonight.
Sure. So quickly, I was listening to some of your previous speakers, and I have to say that's one of the most wonderful parts of our city is that we get to work so closely with so many healthcare providers. And I appreciate the recognition that Fremont has been a long time home for many of the largest settlements of the Afghan refugees since the early 1980s. And I think at one point we estimated that's about 30,000 people living locally. Fremont really has a pulse, and we're very fortunate to have a well-established network of organizations and community-based groups, such as the Afghan Coalition and Afghan Elder Coalition. And these organizations have served as a voice to so many of the immigrants and refugees and help connect people to the resources. With this type of holistic view, our council wanted to share a statement in support, and then also to help facilitate some of the donations of funding that could help with some of the basic needs, especially as the immigrants are coming. We realize that they're doing so intentionally and also oftentimes want to be with their strong family and social network. And it's a safe and compassionate city. And as such, we really would love to be able to help support that. In fact, from our efforts most recently, and I have to thank you, Harris, in helping us have a rally just a few weeks ago, also in Little Kabul, which is a strip of our businesses along Fremont Boulevard, which has Afghan grocery stores, bookstores, restaurants, and clothing. And so that was a real key opportunity for us to be able to allow the community to voice their concerns. And I also appreciate that we have a good relationship with our legislators, such as Congressmember Swalwell and Khanna, and then also with some of the local Afghan media, which I think is very important. I want to acknowledge Rona Papal for that partnership. And so we're hoping to continue that. But in particular, we initiated a fundraising effort on August 19th. And as of last week, we had raised over $200,000. And why this is important for us in this time is when we're looking at some of the programs, and I know Kathy and the counties are familiar with it at times, depending on the funding sources, they are restricted in terms of how the funding is being utilized. And so what we're looking at is being able to utilize some of those funds for some of those basic needs, such as housing and other areas. And so some of the challenges that I'm sure others have touched upon is the high cost of housing. And so we're trying to provide that type of resource. And then just last week, both in the U.S. Conference of Mayors and in conversations with the State Department, we talked about some of the challenges right now with the fees and the opportunity for us to be able to perhaps influence in terms of at least understand the legislators what that type of impact is. And I think, Harris, you did an excellent job just in sharing in your own personal story of how that's been a challenge. The other thing I wanted to help facilitate, and we hope to be able to provide, and thank very much Supervisor Haubert and for the Alameda County members who are participating in this call today, is the opportunity to be able to funnel and have some more direct contacts and points of contact. And a coordinated communication response is really important. We stressed how much appreciated it would be to have a single point of contact, and to have resources across these bureaucratic lines is critically important. And so coordinating these efforts will help us with the questions and answers. But in particular, I again wanted to acknowledge so many of the members of the community who've come forth and asked for our support and the partnership. We've had so many of our youth and so many community organizers. And then of course, our county, as we mentioned, some of the things that we've noted, and we have some resources on our website besides the Afghan Relief Fund that tie to information on how to get connected. And I'll be happy to share that link, and I'll send that to Kathy to share. But so some of the things that we also are looking at is best practices in terms of having seen the past experiences working with our healthcare providers, working with education, and working with these resources. And in particular, also in terms of jobs, connections, and skills, we have partnerships with our community colleges and other efforts. So we hope that this is just one of many continued conversations. And Harris and Kathy and all the members on the call, and especially the members who are listening today in the audience, we hope to be able to continue to serve all of our communities as we recognize the tremendous need at this time, and that we are privileged as a council and as a community to stand with you in terms of offering support. And so my best, and I apologize, it's been a little bit of crazy, so I may not stay for the question and answer, but I look forward to providing resources needed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor May, for being here and for your leadership.
Thank you.
Next, I'll turn it over to Tamano Ansari, who is a TV host, producer, and Afghan community leader. Tamano John, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Salam, and thank you, everyone, for being here. And thank you for what I'm hearing, everybody's support. Really, my heart is broken how long we should do this, because I've been growing in war and leaving my country, and I thought by this age I'm gonna celebrate all the happiness with my friends and families here, but still we are dealing with the worst things and nightmare that I can't even imagine. And thank you everyone for your support. My name is Tamano Ansari. I'm the host of Afghan American Media, Master Ceremony in the Bay Area, and also active business associate for commercial real estate at Liberty Business Advisors, Volunteers with Money, organization and charities and their PR departments. And I can name a couple of them, which I'm very active for: Afghanistan Relief Alliance, and also Immigrant Integration and Empowerment Organization for Newcomers. So let me thank Supervisor David Haubert for connecting me to this great webinars. And also I want to thank him for his immediate act as soon as he heard this disaster was happening in my wounded country, and he called me and passed his sympathy to all Afghans community, and he announced his support. Thank you, Supervisor, for doing that. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Tamano John, for being here this evening.
Thank you, Horace John. And also, I just want to thank each one of you that putting this together and offering your support for our, like I always say, wounded country and my people or our people. And I want to thank Kathy that, you know, back and forth, she's getting everybody's on the loop. And please don't hesitate. If you want me to reach out to the community with any messages, I'll reach out to them, or any volunteer, anything else I can do, I'm here.
Thank you so much, Tamano John. We appreciate your leadership in the community and in the space that you have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, nice meeting you too.
Thank you. Nice meeting you too, Hafiz. And next we're gonna switch gears, and we're gonna have introduce Zuhal Bahaduri. Zuhal is a Afghan community leader. Zuhal, are you ready?
Hi everyone, I'm having some technical difficulties, so I won't be able to share my video, I'm sorry. First and foremost, I would like to thank Supervisor Haubert for hosting this town hall, and Kathy for all your help putting this together. You both have been of great service to our community from day one, and I am honored to share this space with you all here today. Moderator Harris Mujadidi, our Mayor Lily May, Hayward City Councilwoman and Mayor Pro Tem Aisha Wahab, Khatira Aslami John, Dr. Kathleen, and Tamana Ansari. Thank you. It's an honor to be here with you all today. Like Aisha Wahab mentioned, my story is one of many, so it's not that special, but I will say my parents did fled here, like many Afghans, and resettled here in Fremont 35 years ago. Fremont, as we all may know, has the largest Afghan community in the US, hence why it is called Little Kabul. And I thank this community and our greater community for creating a space like this for us to be able to flourish and be successful. Just yesterday, we had a global day of peaceful protest, and here in San Francisco specifically, to raise awareness for this humanitarian crisis happening in Afghanistan. And I want to thank Supervisor Haubert for his support. I personally work with AACO, the Afghan American Community Organization, and we are a part of this nationwide Afghan American Coalition. We're an alliance of organizations advocating for humanitarian assistance for Afghanistan, as well as Afghan refugees. Our colleagues include Afghan American professionals throughout the US who work with the Department of State on federal level, state experts in a variety of venues. Our group really works to amplify short and long-term local, state, and national efforts to achieve policy goals that expedite protection for vulnerable and targeted communities within Afghanistan, as well as focusing on resettlement efforts. More specifically, we have a partnership with IRC International Headquarters with regional leads in each of the states, especially the states where we are seeing an influx of Afghan refugees being sent to. And we're working a lot of with a lot of the resettlement agencies as well outside of IRC here locally as well, to ensure that we not only welcome these families that served our government, but that they get all the services needed to succeed, like we have the opportunity to do so. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to share that with the whole community. If anyone would like any resources or have any questions or concerns, I, just like my other panel members, are available, and if you have any, feel free to reach out. Thank you, Artist John.
Thank you so much, Zohal John. And I'm gonna ask now for our panelists to, if they can, flip your video on, and we'll take questions and answers from the audience, and audience members, feel free to post your questions, and then I, with the support of Kathy, will help field it to whoever might be the appropriate person. And so the first question is from, I should have this, from Matt O. Are the mental health resources only available to folks living in Alameda County? I have a client who is stuck on a military base in Texas, but I'd love to try and get them some trauma counseling. So I'll turn this over to Dr. Clannon and Khatira John. See what you all say.
Anyone who calls in to that emergency line will get at least a little bit, that they'll get connected into whatever they're eligible for. If it's likely that the person in Texas might come to us and be here, that'll make a difference in terms of, of their getting kind of more robust services. If it's likely that if we have no idea, or if it's likely they won't end up here, then they may end up referring.
Thank you, Dr. Clannon. Khatira John, did you have anything to add to that?
Just a minor one about there is a peer support warm line that is anyone can call just to talk to someone, like Dr. Clannon said. But I don't know if they have language capacity in Dari or Pashto. That piece I don't know.
Thank you for that. The next question is,
I'm sorry, is it okay if I add something? Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry. I just would like to mention that we do have leads in each state. So in Texas specifically, we have an Afghan American lead that is working with the resettlement agency as well there, and with these military bases. So if anyone has specific questions that are out of state, please feel free to reach out to me and I will be happy to connect you. Thank you.
Thank you, Zuhal. The next question is, this is from Soraya, Soraya R. Does anyone tell me if there's any resources or plans for Afghan seniors in Alameda County, which is very needed? I'm assuming this will probably be for thinking our elders as they come in. And so I'm not sure who wants to, Dr. Klein, I'll start with you. And then maybe.
Yeah, so Hajra showed our resource list that includes specifically an Afghan elderly health improvement and staying healthy aging project. And also we know that the Afghan Coalition is active in that space. So we have really a wealth of we're really lucky to have really a wealth of services that are available there. As you know, and as people know, I think we have multiple of our clinics, our community clinics, including located in the Fremont area is Bay Area Community Health, or BAC for short, like the composer. And they are, this is an area in which they've done a lot of work, and and do have a network of mental health practitioners connected to them. Hajra, do you want to? Was there anything to add?
No, you covered it all. Thank you, Dr. Klein.
Mayor Pro Tem Wahab, did you have anything that you wanted to add to this?
Not to this one. I do just want to highlight, though, that a lot of the individuals that are coming that are granted the special immigrant visa are usually a little bit like, let's say, middle age / younger, and the children that come with them are 21 and under. So if they had a child that was 21 years old, 22 years old, 23, they usually split the family. That child will not be able to come to the United States without that family coming here and then petitioning and sponsoring that thing. So it's a process. We do have the long immigration process that we have to go through.
The next one is a comment.
Harris, I noticed that Zuhal put a response back in the chat. Thank you for doing that. However, it went to panelists and not panelists and attendees. If you could copy and paste it to panelists and attendees, that would get to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Supervisor.
The next is a comment from Rahman Zamani, Dr. Zamani. I'm a program specialist with the Social Services Agency, and I'm also the Alameda County Refugee Coordinator. I just want to mention the Alameda County Social Services Agency is also providing resources and services. So thank you for that, Dr. Zamani. The next question, I'm going to direct it towards you, Mayor Pro Tem Wahab first, and then maybe Supervisor Haubert. We'll start that order. Is there any housing resources in Fremont, Hayward, or anywhere in Alameda County for folks who are stuck on the military bases but looking to leave prior to being moved by the resettlement agencies making that happen? I've reached out to various nonprofits, but they seem swamped. This is also from Matt. Councilwoman.
From what we understand, the way that it's been is that these refugees are given roughly 3 locations that they can choose from. Many do choose Oakland to be their arrival point. Oftentimes, especially, they're granted roughly about $1,000 for their family. So it only secures maybe a night at a hotel, 2 nights, 3 nights, so forth. They have to engage very quickly with one of these refugee resettlement programs. One of the things that the city of Hayward is actually working on is trying to ensure that there's direct communication. So Alameda County, for example, may have about 1,300 individuals arriving in just Alameda County by December, roughly. With that being said, we are trying to look to see if we can utilize the funds that we are collecting specifically for housing, as well as partnering with maybe even our hotels, just very similar to the annex projects that are in many cities for temporary housing. The sad truth is that the State Department recognizes that California is too costly to live in, especially for new arrivals. And I just want to clearly inform folks that the translators can potentially get a job, and that does take time. We all know that. But their wives and their children are still unable to, either due to language barrier or other barriers. And we know that one paycheck will not take you that far here in the United States, let alone the Bay. So it is something that I am working on. I will also say that there are people that are offering up their homes, their rooms, things like that for temporary usage, but most likely they're going to have to potentially be pushed out to Tracy and Central Valley and so forth.
Thank you. And Supervisor Haubert, I don't know if you want to
Yeah,
add anything.
I recognize that indeed it is costly to live, but we perhaps can be efficient. Aisha mentioned people opening up their homes. Wouldn't it be wonderful for a family that has an extra room? Maybe they speak the language, they know the culture, but I recognize that there's an extra burden of cost, food, utilities, the need to host. Well, I would be willing to take some of my discretionary funds and help provide stipends to families to offset that cost. Even if it were a week, a month, 3 months, a quarter of a year. It won't take long for many of the Afghans to take hold and seize that opportunity. There's so much talent, there's so much passion right here in the Bay Area, but wherever in America. I think that living stipends, not unlike a foreign exchange student or a family with the foreign, a little bit more than one student, a family, bring in a family and let's provide stipends for them. It would be a rewarding experience for the host, I can tell you. So I would call on anyone who would be interested to do this. Of course, we're going to have some kind of a sign up system in some way to make sure that it's a safe living condition on both sides. But I feel that there's just a way to do that. So that's my thinking on that.
Well,
Thank you.
and to let everyone know, Supervisor Hubbard, that your office is working with the Rotary clubs in the area to collect money specifically to host families to help mitigate the costs of a family that may be hosting others.
Yep.
Thank you, Supervisor Haubert, and thank you, Kathy, for that. And Supervisor Haubert, I know we're right at time, so I want to give you the chance to give some closing remarks.
Well, I'll say we're on a roll. If there are any more burning questions, we should have them. I want to close by saying that Kathy will be emailing out the resource sheet that we put together. It is just invaluable. Phone numbers, names, email addresses for just so many resources. But let this not be the last time that we connect. My office is available. Kathy will I've already put my email address in the chat. Kathy can do the same. We can all stay connected. This session itself is being recorded and will be posted to Kathy, where will it be posted? On our website for sure, District 1 Supervisor's website, and probably on Facebook and probably on a YouTube channel somewhere. So
Yes.
if anybody wanted to replay portions of this, they could do that.
And also, I encourage everyone to sign up for your newsletter. If you go to acgov.org, Supervisor District 1, there's a really easy link to sign up for your newsletter, for the Supervisor's newsletter, and get updates, get the YouTube channel stuff, and be current.
Thank you again, Supervisor Haubert, for convening this town hall to really talk about the services the county will be providing. Thank you so much for Mayor Pro Tem Wahab, Mayor Lily May, Dr. Clannon, Khatara John, Tamara John, Zuhal John, and Kathy Kimberlin, who made all of this possible. The logistics grew behind the scenes. And yeah, thank you all for joining us this evening. And again, just to remind that you will receive a follow-up email with all the resources shared this evening. So thank you all for being here this evening. Khalafis.